Welcome to episode 99 of your CySA Plus Prepcast. Today's topic brings together three foundational components of cybersecurity management: policy, governance, and service-level objective integration. Each of these elements plays a unique and critical role in ensuring that cybersecurity practices are not only technically sound, but also strategically aligned with business goals and regulatory requirements. When cybersecurity efforts are informed by clearly written policies, enforced through strong governance frameworks, and measured against defined performance targets, organizations can maintain consistent security posture, minimize risk, and continuously adapt to change. These are not just administrative tasks. They are essential pillars of a mature cybersecurity program and are core to your preparation for the CySA Plus exam. Let's begin by defining cybersecurity policy and governance. A cybersecurity policy is a formal set of guidelines that establishes what is expected from personnel, systems, and departments regarding security behavior. These policies define acceptable use, access control, data handling, secure development practices, and incident response requirements. Governance, on the other hand, refers to the oversight structures and decision-making processes that ensure those policies are enforced, followed, reviewed, and continuously improved. Governance determines how cybersecurity responsibilities are assigned, how policy compliance is measured, and how leadership holds teams accountable for execution. Effective cybersecurity policies must be specific, actionable, and relevant to the organization's risk profile. Analysts and compliance professionals work together to ensure that these documents clearly define roles and responsibilities, establish behavioral expectations, describe mandatory security controls, and outline procedures for incident response and vulnerability management. Policies act as a guide for both everyday security decisions and long-term planning. If policies are vague or outdated, even the best technologies and teams will struggle to achieve consistent protection. Governance frameworks support these policies by introducing structure and accountability. Frameworks like the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, ISO/IEC 2701, COBIT, and the CIS controls provide templates and methodologies for implementing cybersecurity practices across organizations of all sizes. These frameworks guide organizations in aligning cybersecurity with risk tolerance, industry regulations, and business priorities. Governance is what ensures policies don't just sit in a binder. They're applied, monitored, and continuously evaluated for effectiveness. At the core of strong governance is leadership accountability. Executives must understand their role in cybersecurity, including approving budgets, setting priorities, and enforcing compliance. Analysts and security managers report on performance, communicate incidents, and seek approvals for strategic initiatives through these governance channels. This structured interaction ensures that cybersecurity is not siloed within technical teams but is integrated into enterprise decision-making. Leadership involvement increases the likelihood that policies will receive the attention and resources required for success. Governance frameworks also enable consistency across departments. Without centralized oversight, different business units might interpret or implement security policies in varied ways. One team might use outdated password requirements while another uses two-factor authentication. Governance ensures alignment across departments, technologies, and processes. It creates standardized expectations that reduce fragmentation, duplication of effort, and compliance gaps. Analysts support this consistency by contributing to centralized security policies, monitoring implementation progress, and helping teams interpret governance requirements. A critical feature of governance is clearly defined roles and responsibilities. These assignments span across leadership, IT operations, security teams, compliance officers, and business stakeholders. For example, analysts may be responsible for performing vulnerability scans, but the IT team must apply patches. While compliance teams validate control implementation, governance ensures that these responsibilities are clearly stated, properly resourced, and regularly reviewed. This clarity enhances collaboration and prevents accountability gaps when responding to security challenges. Policy and governance integration is not a one-time activity. Organizations must periodically reassess policies to ensure they remain relevant. Emerging threats, regulatory changes, business transformations, and lessons from security incidents often prompt policy updates. governance processes ensure these updates are systematically reviewed, approved, communicated, and implemented. Regular policy review cycles maintain alignment with external expectations and internal needs, helping organizations stay agile in the face of evolving risk landscapes. Documentation is a key component of both governance and policy management. Every policy, standard, procedure, and control implementation must be documented thoroughly. Governance structures such as steering committees and risk councils also require documentation of decisions, meeting minutes, action items, and approvals. This documentation supports transparency, audit readiness, and knowledge retention. Analysts play a role in updating, archiving, and distributing these documents, ensuring all stakeholders have access to the latest policy information and governance insights. Effective governance also includes compliance monitoring and audit support. Organizations must measure whether policies are being followed and whether controls are functioning as intended. This might involve reviewing access logs, verifying encryption settings, assessing incident response times, or analyzing vulnerability remediation timelines. Governance structures ensure that findings are reported to leadership, corrective actions are tracked, and policy revisions are considered when gaps are found. Analysts contribute to these efforts by collecting data, performing assessments, and generating compliance reports. When policy and governance are properly integrated, cybersecurity becomes an enabler of business strategy rather than a constraint. Security efforts align with operational priorities, regulatory requirements, and risk appetite. Leadership receives the information needed to make informed decisions, and technical teams have the guidance necessary to execute effectively. The result is a more resilient organization, one that understands its risks, manages them systematically, and adapts continuously in response to new challenges. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are more security courses on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Now that we've explored how policy and governance establish the foundation for cybersecurity management, let's turn to service-level objectives, or SLOs, and how they integrate into that foundation. An SLO is a formally defined, measurable goal that outlines specific performance, availability, or security standards that systems, services, or teams are expected to meet. While SLOs are often associated with uptime and service availability, in cybersecurity they play a vital role in setting expectations for how quickly vulnerabilities should be addressed, how incidents are handled, and how consistently security practices are applied. Integrating cybersecurity objectives with SLOs ensures that security efforts align directly with business requirements, operational needs, and customer commitments. When SLOs are clearly defined and tracked, they help reduce ambiguity about what is expected and provide a mechanism for measuring performance. For example, an organization might define an SLO stating that critical vulnerabilities must be remediated within 7 days of identification, or that all high-priority patches must be deployed within 48 hours of release. These types of targets drive focus, align cross-functional teams, and enable consistent reporting on progress. SLOs serve as a mechanism for aligning cybersecurity initiatives with larger organizational priorities. They help ensure that limited resources are directed toward objectives that support business continuity, regulatory compliance, and customer satisfaction. SLOs also provide a structure for tracking and enforcing timelines related to security activities such as vulnerability remediation, access reviews, incident response, or system hardening. When properly implemented, they allow teams to operate with clear expectations, and they give leadership visibility into cybersecurity performance. Security SLOs often include specific metrics such as patch compliance rates, vulnerability closure timelines, time to detect or time to respond metrics, and audit readiness indicators. These metrics are selected based on the criticality of systems, the risk posture of the organization, and any applicable regulatory obligations. By focusing on what matters most, rather than tracking every possible activity, SLOs help analysts and stakeholders measure real progress and address the most pressing risks effectively. Organizations typically establish SLOs based on a combination of technical capability, asset classification, regulatory requirements, and business risk. Critical infrastructure systems may require stricter SLOs for patching or response time, while lower-risk assets may have more flexible thresholds. These goals are developed collaboratively across security, operations, and business teams to ensure they are both ambitious and attainable. Setting the right SLO requires a balance between reducing risk and maintaining operational feasibility. Monitoring SLO performance is key to ensuring their value. Analysts use dashboards, automated compliance tools, and real-time analytics to track how well the organization is meeting its defined security objectives. These monitoring systems generate alerts when performance drops below defined thresholds, allowing analysts to investigate issues quickly and recommend corrective actions. In some cases, continuous integration and deployment tools can also be configured to halt deployment pipelines if SLO violations are detected, reinforcing security standards in development workflows. Clear communication around SLOs ensures that all stakeholders understand the expectations and can collaborate effectively to meet them. Security teams must work closely with IT operations, development teams, business unit leaders, and compliance personnel to align activities with SLO targets. When a new SLO is introduced or an existing one is revised, it must be communicated through briefings, documentation updates, and inclusion in relevant workflows. This ensures that the entire organization is moving toward the same goals and that no teams are left unaware of evolving requirements. Automated tracking systems enhance the effectiveness of SLO integration. Analysts configure security dashboards and vulnerability management platforms to provide real-time visibility into how the organization is progressing against its objectives. Automated reporting tools can produce weekly or monthly summaries for leadership, highlighting successes, identifying gaps, and recommending adjustments. These insights support data-driven decision-making and help maintain continuous alignment between security efforts and strategic goals. SLO reporting must be tailored to its audience. While technical teams may need granular reports on patch compliance or vulnerability counts, senior leadership requires a high-level view of risk trends and organizational performance. Regular reporting builds trust and accountability, reinforces strategic alignment, and provides documentation that supports both internal audits and external compliance requirements. Analysts play a key role in synthesizing complex data into actionable insights that support informed governance. Like policy and governance, SLOs require continuous refinement. As threats evolve, technologies advance, and business strategies shift, organizations must reassess their security goals to ensure they remain effective and relevant. Post-incident reviews, regulatory updates, and audit findings often prompt updates to SLOs. Periodic SLO reviews ensure that objectives continue to drive the right behaviors, address the most critical risks, and reflect the organization's current capabilities. Analysts must advocate for regular reassessment and maintain a feedback loop between operations and leadership to guide strategic improvement. To conclude episode 99, the integration of policy, governance, and service-level objectives forms a powerful triad for cybersecurity maturity. Policies establish expectations, governance enforces accountability, and SLOs provide measurable goals. When these elements are aligned, organizations gain the ability to manage cybersecurity in a structured, transparent, and results-oriented way. These principles enhance regulatory compliance, reduce risk exposure, drive continuous improvement, and position analysts as key contributors to enterprise resilience. Mastering these concepts is not only essential for the CySA Plus exam, but is also foundational for effective cybersecurity leadership in today's complex threat landscape. Thanks for listening. To learn more about cybersecurity, please visit baremetalcyber.com. There you will find best-selling books, videos, and even more free cybersecurity training courses. Please subscribe to the Prepcast and our various podcasts. And thanks for listening.